welcome everybody. In this special series, I'm going to uncover every little detail of the continuous attacks and cyberbullying of the K-pop group MONSTA X. These videos will help you understand everything that's wrong with the K-pop industry and how society's impact contributes to it. MONSTA X is an internationally successful K-pop group signed under the Korean music label Starship Entertainment. The boy group was formed through the survival casting show No Mercy and is composed of 7 members: Shonu, Wonho, Minhyuk, Kiyeon, Hyungwon, Juhoney, and I.M. The group is known for redefining gender norms with androgynous and provocative outfits. Each member is uniquely multi-talented in acting, hosting, modeling, or DJing. Being originally an underdog with a small fan base and no success on music shows, these 7 men struggled their way up to the top, and it seems like the music industry is finally recognizing their efforts. Being on the peak of their career with the latest mini-album, Follow, the group was heavily attacked by anti-fans and cyberbullies during their comeback in fall 2019. Which, in the end, as we all know, resulted in a massive disaster. It all started with the Me Too scandal involving MONSTA X's Minhyuk, Shonu, and Wonho. In order to fully understand the situation, there are a few important cultural informations you need to know. This part is very important for multiple chapters of this video, so please bear with me. For hundreds of years, South Korea's history and culture was, and still is, heavily linked to a strong Confucius idea. Now, it's not possible for me to teach about Confucius in an adequate depth while talking about a, K-pop scandal. Also, don't you think it would be somewhat disrespectful towards this philosophy? Because honestly, I do think so. But to just give you a few details so you can follow the rest of the video, let me tell you that there are especially 2 dogmas we, for our case, should be aware of. The first being the harmony between individuals, family members, colleagues, etc., etc. And the second being the respect towards men, especially wise and older men like fathers, teachers, politicians, or whoever is seen as wise. So what this translates to now is that these dogmas are till this day lived in everyday life. One of the most prevalent examples is that South Korea has the highest gender pay gap in the OECD. What this means is that men are oftentimes paid more for the same job than their female colleagues. And another important thing that I want to point out is the low sentence on crimes, like harassment against women, spy camming, or even rape. You know, in comparison to Western countries like Germany, where I am living. And although women were obviously not happy with the circumstances, their actions were quite limited given the cultural impact on society and even on the jurisdiction. This is the exact reason why the social Me Too movement is so important, especially in South Korea. Because it's seen as a major opportunity for women to point out this inequality in different aspects of life. Thousands participated in the movement, and thousands became active supporters of feminism since the Me Too movement. However, many incidents were reported where men started bullying female supporters of the Me Too movement. Jokes involving phrases like, "Ooh, don't do this," or "don't do that, you'll get Me Too'd," are actually not as uncommon as one might think. This is due to the unfortunate belief of many men that there will not be such a thing as inequality for women, and that the Me Too movement is therefore basically unnecessary. Activists, on the other hand, claim that it is hard for men to understand these matters as they do not experience it because of their gender and the before-mentioned cultural impact. Now, if you have Korean friends, work at a Korean enterprise, or simply read on these matters in empirical studies, articles in the newspaper, or watch the latest documentaries about feminism in South Korea, you will sooner or later find out why so many Korean women were saddened by the current political situation and why they are very, very sensitive towards the Me Too movement. Because they have reasonable doubts that they are taken seriously. Well, Why is all this history lesson so important, you ask? Because all this background information will help to clarify a lot of misunderstandings and connections in the following chapter. Back in 2018, MONSTA X were on world tour holding concerts internationally. And you know how after such big events like concerts, lots of fan cams appear online. Everyone is really excited and wants to share their memory of meeting their idols and their biases. So this is how we all know that WONHO always takes his shirt off at the end of a concert. And then he throws it into the audience as a gift for a lucky fan. He does this every time. Now, there was one specific concert in Chile in August 2018 where his earpiece was weirdly hanging on his chest, which in the end resulted in a popular meme in the K-pop community with the inside joke, "Yes, Mr. Nipple, I can hear you, please answer me." In March 2019, MONSTA X held a fan sign in Gangnam where WONHO and Minhyuk referred to this inside joke. Now, if you watch fan cams from that specific fan sign, you will see how WONHO was having a good time being talkative in his broken English. He admitted on multiple occasions how he is constantly trying to learn English, but that it's actually not easy for him, and that's why he usually just ends up laughing in English interviews because he simply doesn't get what the English hosts are talking about. Up until October 2019, no bad comments appeared regarding that fan sign. Let's fast forward to the 25th of October 2019, where a mysterious Twitter account suddenly appeared and started posting a video of the mentioned fan sign. The account claims to have some sort of proof on how Minhyuk, Shonu, and WONHO ridiculed the Me Too movement. The account's main target seems to be WONHO because it wrote multiple posts about him being sexist and perverted and whatnot. Later on, other Twitter accounts joined in and reposted the accusations and also the videos in question. They claim how WONHO and Minhyuk reenacted sexual harassment and later on laughed about it while joking about the Me Too movement. All this while their leader, being Shonu, did not fulfill his duty by interfering and stopping this childish behavior, but instead joined in laughter. Korean Monbebe were initially really worried about MONSTA X's reputation. So even after Starship's apology, they continuously posted on Fan Cafe asking Minhyuk, Shonu, and especially WONHO to apologize themselves. You know, in order to calm things down before it could possibly damage the idol's image in the public eye. They seemingly wanted the members, which usually show, if you want to call it like that, woke behavior, to continue doing the right thing and having a peaceful comeback. And this peace, this harmony, is what I was talking about back in the history part. This is a simple example on how the society you live in contributes to your thinking and your actions, because every culture is unique and has its own characteristics on ethics, on moral, on other social norms. So for someone who is not familiar with the Korean culture, it could easily be misunderstood. Because let me tell you that in Korean culture, it is very typical for someone to apologize even if they are not in the wrong. It has something to do with saving your face, saving your image. You can translate it into something like having a good reputation. This is very important. And it isn't just important for idols or celebrities, it is very important to every Korean. So at this point, at least to me or in my opinion, it all seems to be a way of educating the idols on the importance of the Me Too movement, because A, they hold them to a higher standard than being uneducated about such important social movements, and B, because they were scared of a big scandal. So it's actually not a big surprise that shortly after WONHO and Minhyuk both came forward and apologized to the public. This is where the aftermath of the scandal actually started, and maybe it was due to the language barrier or the lack of knowledge of Korean culture, but now a somewhat fan war evolved between Korean Monbebe and international Monbebe. International fans were really mad with Korean Monbebe for the ongoing requests of an apology, And Korean Monbebe, on the other hand, were shocked on why international Monbebe were disregarding this whole Me Too situation. Now, I am a person who enjoys other cultures. I even teach in this kind of area, I give trainings in this kind of area. So I really wanted to explain this whole situation on why it escalated. Let me explain this misunderstanding from my own point of view, from the point of view of a Western fan, from the point of view of a German fan. In German media, there is usually not this cultural obligation to have a positive image or to show a good face and maintain a clean attitude as it is known in K-pop or Korean culture in general. Therefore, music lyrics or music videos oftentimes contain revealing clothing, kissing or hookup scenes, and even controversial images like drugs, weapons, or the hard life in prison. The second thing is that we don't really care about the private or the dating life of the artists. Most of the time, the celebrities have their own social media accounts and they are not controlled by their management. The celebrities don't really hide their partners. They even post kissing or cuddling or other intimate stuff on their social media. We also don't have the kind of fan sign events that take place in K-pop. You know what I'm talking about, the ones where all members sit on one table and then you can go and talk to each member for a few minutes, hold their hands, give them presents and whatnot. Overall, we don't have this kind of personal relationship with celebrities in Germany. We know just a little bit about their lives and we actually don't care about their personal lives. So this might sound rude, and please let me assure you I do not mean it in a rude way, but in Germany we wouldn't have tried to educate the celebrities in that way. Whether it's a good thing or bad thing is not for me to judge. Now back to the topic. So at this point we are just 2 days ahead of the official comeback and a fan war in a fandom is going on. This whole situation escalated quickly when anti-fans and haters started attacking Minhyuk, Shonu and especially Wonho on Fan Cafe. The Korean Monbebe peacefully thanked the members and continued their love and support for the group after the apologies. But suddenly more and more attacks rose on the Fan Cafe and they were all written in Korean. This again led some international Monbebes to believe that all Korean Monbebe would unreasonably continue to attack the members. It all happened really quickly and every hour more and more of these hate comments and anti-accounts came up with new allegations and demands to take Wonho and Minhyuk out of the group and to put them into the military. Everyone was freaking out on BeLive and some international fans were asking to put country flags in their usernames, to seal themselves off from Korean Monbebe. So it was all just a total mess. Now, if you've been into K-pop for a while, you would have probably noticed that K-nets are known to be foul in their language and they are known to be really toxic. Some of them even go as far as to demand idols to kill themselves and sign suicide petitions and whatnot. If you don't believe me, just look up those two incidences and judge for yourselves. Did you know that the group Block B received widespread hate and even death threats because they put soy sauce on B1A4's chicken as a joke on a reality TV show? And did you know that something similar happened when G-Dragon was in a crafting store and it apparently took him too long to buy a pen? That's just crazy, man. That's not cool. Meanwhile, some Monbebes found this whole timing very suspicious. They took it upon themselves to confront the main source of these allegations. And this person actually admitted on purposely posting the video. The person also admitted that they exactly knew this was a bad timing for MONSTA X, meaning the comeback. And yes, this person also admitted in not having a job. The person later on continued tweeting and retweeting messages up until the 28th of October, but stopped after that. After the Twitter account admitted on purposely making these allegations during MONSTA X's comeback time, one would actually think this whole scandal would finally be over, right? Guys, I still have so many questions, like who could be possibly behind this attack? And why are they doing this to MONSTA X? What are their motives? And what about the accusations? Are those legit or not? These accounts were the only one posting alleged proof videos and proof pictures of MONSTA X, and other accounts were only retweeting from these original accounts here. But please be aware that these accounts are the ones that I found, and it is highly possible that there used to be even more. Firstly, don't get confused about the many followings. I also followed them for a while, and you should always do that in this kind of situation, because it is always possible for them to put their accounts on private, and then you wouldn't know what rumors they are spreading next. But now that I screenshotted everything, I am no longer following any of those accounts. What I found interesting about all these accounts is that they magically appeared in October and immediately started posting about MONSTA X. They did not tweet about anything else, only about MONSTA X, and especially about WONHO. And by the way, the deleted account was also created on the same date and had the same characteristics as the others, but unfortunately it got deleted before I could properly screenshot everything. The next coincidence is that they all have random long names, as if someone bashed their hands on a keyboard. Something like that. And in case you haven't noticed it yet, all these accounts do actually not follow anyone, but they kept interacting with one another and they retweeted from each other. See, this is where it gets really fishy. How can you regularly interact with another account when you do not follow them? When would you know about any new tweets? How would this be possible? This is why I started analyzing the tweeting habits. But please note that I could not track the time of the retweets, as it usually gives you the time of the person you are retweeting from and not your own time. So these are only the times the account wrote the post themselves. If you follow them in a chronological order, you will find two habits. The first habit being that there seems to be no time overlap. It's more like a chronological order between the accounts, as if someone posted something, logged out of this account, logged into another account, and started posting there. The second one being that the tweeting habits repeat themselves. I mean, what are the odds of two supposedly different accounts to tweet around the same time? This would mean they have a similar lifestyle, like the time you would go out or the time you would go to bed. All this deduction brings me to my hypothesis that there might either be a single person or a group of friends using those accounts. And in my opinion, this is all proof enough of a planned attack. But the question still remains on who exactly could be behind all of this. First, I wanted to know a few details on the average K-pop listener, because it is not possible for this person to not listen to K-pop and still be involved in the latest comebacks and to have so many information on fan signs. According to the I Love K-pop Global Survey, about 25% of K-pop listeners are in their teens. The next big group consists of people in the age range of 20 to 29. From there on is just a small percentage divided in the other age groups. What this means for our case is that it's most likely that our wanted person is in one of those two larger groups. Since the tweets were written in Hangul and Korea has a small percentage of only 3% foreigners, one can also add the possibility of a Korean nationality to this list. The next important thing is the time this person sends out tweets, because against everyone's belief, I am not so sure about this person being a child or a teenager. Knowing the Korean school system, where you basically go from school to a hagwon in the evening till 10 o'clock, then go to the library at night till 1 a.m. and after that you have to do homework in the middle of the night, I'm pretty sure a teenager would not have the time to tweet out stuff like that while the teachers are looking at you. So this leaves us finally with the most likely age frame of 20 to 29. Did you know there's a whole new paradigm devoted to psychology and the internet? In this scientific field, psychologists conduct research on our behavior and perception while using the internet. If you are interested in reading on it, I can highly recommend you the Oxford Handbook of Internet Psychology. I recently read parts 2 and 3 in the book, where they explain what kind of people use the internet for sabotage and for defamation. The scientists explain that one's behavior and self-awareness or identity changes while using an anonymous medium like the internet. This phenomenon explains how one person might be sensible, nice, maybe even fragile in real life, but becomes powerful and hateful online. They furthermore explain that if a person uses general prejudice on the internet, for example towards Jews, then they might have an ideological problem with this group. This could be for financial reasons, political reasons, even religious reasons. Their motive is not to hurt one specific person, but rather to degrade the whole group. The interesting part is where they explain that if a person chooses to attack one specific person instead of a general group, then the likelihood of a real-life connection is in the extremes. They give multiple examples from general crimes from the KKK to individual cases in the media. And one of the examples they give in the book are men that use naked pictures of their ex-girlfriends to purposely insult them. Because in most cases, it is not because they hate women in general, no, but because they have a personal vendetta against this specific ex-girlfriend. This brings me to the deduction that our wanted person is someone who knows MONSTA X, who knows WONHO. This is not a fan, this is not an anti-fan, this is not a hater. No, according to this theory, according to this research, it might be someone with a real-life connection. Another interesting point is what the content of this allegation was. It included the Me Too movement. It included feminism. Now, if you remember the cultural background I gave you before, you will understand how much more likely it is that a female wrote these allegations. And although it might not be impossible, knowing Korean culture, knowing feminism in Korea, I can't imagine a man doing this. So this brings me to my last point, that the wanted person might be female. Before I continue and talk on this matter, let me first give you a general side note you might want to think about. These are celebrities. They work in an industry most of us know nothing about. It is their job to entertain you. It is their job to look pure, to act nice, and to give a good image. Most of the times, the entertainment companies will force the idols to take part in social campaigns in order to give a good image. So when an incident like this, where people make accusations happen, don't immediately go on and insult the accusator. Just because we like an idol doesn't mean we should accept criminal acts and continue to support them. It is very important that every allegation is taken seriously and getting fact-checked using multiple reliable sources. Do you remember this person? Back in March, the police found out he was heavily involved in criminal molka actions. And it was only last week that the police found out he was involved in a gang rape. Now, if you go to his Instagram account and go through his comment section, you will be baffled to see the majority of positive comments there. Some fans till this day believe in his innocence, although he was charged by the jurisdiction, although he is in jail now and will be for the next 5 to 7 years, and although he admitted it everything himself. How is this even possible, you may ask? In psychology, we have this phenomenon called parasocial relationship. These are one-sided relationships with musicians, actors, or other famous people, where one person is heavily emotionally interested in this famous person, while the celebrity is unaware of this person's existence. Some even go that far to stalk and harass their celebrity crushes in order to get some kind of recognition. This is how stalking happens. This is why sasangs exist. It is a serious psychological issue and not just fangirling. Why is this important, you may ask? Because it is very important to first educate ourselves about a matter before we judge a celebrity. We only know them from TV or social media. We don't know what the accusator feels deep inside. We also don't know what a celebrity feels deep inside. We don't know any side. This is why we must first read on that issue and wait for official statements from reliable sources. And by reliable sources, I do not mean sites like All K-pop or Dispatch. Every time such accusations are made, we have to first check our facts. Who is the person giving these allegations? What could their motives be? Is there legitimate evidence through the police? Can a source be trustworthy? Those are only a few of the many questions you should answer before you should judge and take a side. Because just imagine what pain a victim has to go through if the accusations are true, while the fans are defending their idol, or maybe even hating on the accusator. Now let's start this topic of the relevancy of those serious accusations. The first thing I want to point out is the positive public image of MONSTA X. MONSTA X has shown their support for multiple social campaigns in the past. Some members wear solidarity bracelets as a reminder of the ferry disaster. Over the years, they have donated their clothing multiple times to charity. They donate money and support the Polished Men campaign that fights for children's rights. The members support campaigns against racism. They speak up about homophobia, bullying, gender norms, and sexism. Recently, they even joined a breast cancer awareness campaign. Overall, it seems very confusing why one would support equality and campaigns that even are there to support women, just to go ahead and make sexist jokes. It doesn't add up. But remember, we don't know them. It is highly possible that the image is forced by the company. This is why this is one of the weaker arguments. The second thing I want to talk about is the respect both Wonho and Minhyuk show through their apology letters. Because let me tell you a few things about marketing strategies. Usually big companies remain completely silent during a shitstorm because eventually people stop caring. It is something between 3 days and 2 weeks, where companies usually stay silent for a while and later on continue the daily routine without a reaction towards negative comments until people finally give up and everyone forgets about it. So for the company and both members to finally come out and apologize just shows me they educated themselves and seemingly learned from it. The third thing I want to talk about are the mysterious circumstances how these rumors started. This is probably the most valid argument here, so listen up closely. It was not a time right after the fan sign. No. It was months later during comeback time, where everyone already had their eyes on the group. This just indicates to me that there is another motive behind all of this. This is not about the Me Too movement. This is not about feminism. There is another reason behind all of this. Also, don't forget that after analyzing the fake accounts and the tweet times, this seems like a planned attack. The fourth and last point I want to talk about on this matter is what I personally think of all this. This is not a general argument, but my perception of things. That being that I personally do not see the situation in the video as the accusator wants me to see it. Now, you can of course have another opinion on things, and I am not talking about an objective reality here. I am talking about my subjective perception. But in the end, I asked myself, did this really happen, or was it blown way out of proportion to lure me into thinking a certain type of way? And I, personally, do not see anything wrong going on here. I don't, okay? I don't. With all these points I have deducted, I come to the conclusion that this was a planned attack on MONSTA X, only coding everything with the Me Too movement. The attacker actually exploited feminism for this cause, bringing pain to all the victims out there that suffered from harassment and rape, bringing pain to all the activists out there that fight hard every day to get their rights. Meanwhile, the person is living a pretended happy life with serious mental disorders and megalomania. With this condition, the likelihood for this person to repeat their crimes is just huge. This person needs to see a therapist and has to talk to a lawyer to understand the serious consequences all of this could have. Because at this point, this person has nothing to lose. This person is destroying their own life while living like that, and is also an endangerment to others.